over. Anyway, so from the beginning, my name is Frank Perdomo. This is PBH Live, episode 15. Tonight we're going to be talking about the all-new Godzilla engine and the Aluminator motors from Ford Performance as it relates to Coyote swaps and potentially Godzilla swaps as well. We're also going to be talking about some of the potential issues that we see in fitting that Godzilla engine and using it in your applications, potential applications. So, first of all, on a personal note, I want to wish my nephew Leo a happy birthday today. I will be joining him on vacation next week and celebrating his birthday with the rest of my family, which is why we're probably not going to have a show next week in particular. So we'll join you not next week, but the week after. We'll come up with a new topic as well as for that show. Man, I'm really off base right now because I messed up that sound. That really bothers me. If you guys don't know who Power by the Hour is and you're new to the show, this is about Coyote swaps in general. We do have a live chat. You can ask any type of questions. I am here at Power by the Hour headquarters in West Palm Beach, Florida. We're located right at the end of the airstrip of Palm Beach International Airport. If you're in the area, you're always welcome to stop by and join us. We do offer hats, the hats that I wear on the show, not the one that's in pink in particular, but these black ones. I've already covered this, obviously, in the video you're just watching, no sound. But yeah, the hats are $25. If you want to get one, all you have to do is email me. The email is going to be along the bottom of the screen here. It's frank@pbhperformance.com, and I'll be able to get you set up with a PayPal link, so you can pay for the hats for $25 each, shipped, ready to go. They're snapback Richardson, I think 112 design, black on black. We do have a gray on gray design. I'm going to get some more hats in, so if you want a gray on gray, they should be in the next week or two. So send me the email, let me know you want one, and we'll get you set up with one. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do that now. Hit the notification bell and make sure you click all, that way you don't miss anything that we put up online. We are working on some pretty big videos, I think tech mainly, and some product stuff. And then we're going to start working on some vehicle shots and actually some articles for some things. Kimbo, I don't need new audio equipment. I need a new audio operator, apparently, because I don't know how to click the X that I turned off. I don't know. That's my fault. I'm embarrassed, honestly. I really am. This sucks. But yes, apparel. Talking about hats. We'll talk about the shirt. Kind of saw me point to it before. American Powertrain, we partnered up with them earlier this year. I actually met them last year at Nashville. Now we offer all of their parts and Tremec transmissions for all of the 7.3 engines out there, I guess. No, for all the Coyotes that we offer and all the Coyote engine swaps, if you're looking to get a transmission solution, whether it's an early era Mustang, F100, Fox body, New Edge, even the S197, we can get you set up with the T56 Magnums, 6060 Magnums, and all the pieces to get them together, even down to the drive shaft itself. Single disc, dual disc clutches, adapter bell housings, all the connectors for reverse lockouts and speeds, signals, and all that stuff all comes in the kit. They're very comprehensive. Doesn't make them the cheapest thing in the world, but if you're looking for a one-stop shop when it comes to putting that T56 in there, contact us directly. We'll get you set up with a kit from American Powertrain to whatever power level you're working with that's within reason. With that, we'll say hello to some of the people that I was muting out of my life here not too long ago. 2000 MCR is always first, so thank you for joining us, buddy. William McClary, Jeremiah Camp, our local hero. Chris Y, Lee Paulson, let's see, Jordan Dunning, Doug Fidelke? Fidelka? I always kill it. I'm sorry, Doug. Wild Horse Garage. I see all these messages here. I wasn't looking at the chat. I was looking at OBS. That's why I couldn't see you guys typing this all in. That's my fault. Alejandro Flores. Haven't seen him in hours. Actually, minutes. Let's see. Who else we got? Anything else? Bobby Wortman. Another regular. Mike Vasquez. Thanks for joining, bud. Jason Freeberg. How we doing, buddy? Let's see here. Kimbo Slice actually donated to the channel telling me to get some new sound equipment. We got that covered. We just need to learn how to use it better. That's me. It's all on me. Shirts. You guys want shirts? We can get shirts. We actually already have shirts. We have our hashtag Coyote Swap shirts that are on the website. We have our shop t-shirts. They're only $14.99. Pick them up. If we help you with tech and we don't have a part to help you with, it's a nice way to say thank you. We should all get free hats. That's probably not going to happen. And with that, we'll get the wow. There's a lot. Wow, chat's firing off tonight. Good job, guys. Great info. Yeah, you're welcome, Peter. Thank you for joining, and thank you for donating to the channel. We're gonna get into the information now. So this week, Ford Performance released 3 new part numbers. It looks like 2 of them are Coyote engines. They now have Gen 3 Aluminator crate engines, not long blocks, not short blocks. They're complete. Intake to oil pan, high pressure pump, all 16 injectors, engine harness, coils, valve cover, balancer, water pump, no exhaust manifolds. It even comes with an intake manifold, the throttle body too. All the gear is on it. Now, the Gen 3 engines are naturally been more expensive right out of the box because they have an extra set of injectors, not just regular injectors, high pressure injectors or direct injection setup, high pressure pump. So they're a little bit pricier. So these new engines from Ford Performance in the Aluminator form are naturally going to be more expensive as well. They're chiming in right above $12,000 retail for each one. And they do come with a lot of cool gear. Now, they're going to offer them the same way they've always offered the Aluminator engines. You're going to have one that's naturally aspirated and one supercharged. Now, the supercharged one, as you can see here in the listing on our website, part number is going to be M60007. They got some tricky part numbers. I'll have to get that. For some reason, it doesn't have them on my listing here. But you can look at them if you go to our catalog and you go to crate engines in the Coyote Swap catalog section of our website. Hit crate engines. They're coming up right on the front, on the top bar there. And you have the supercharged version and naturally aspirated version. We have them listed at $11.99 plus the freight. We're going to see where everything falls as far as cost. We're still waiting for some updates there. But the engines, the biggest difference between the two, they're all the same except for really compression ratio. Now, Ford offers you the supercharged version at 9.5 to 1 compression. If you're old school and you've used boost in the past, you're going to reach for the supercharged version. There's nothing wrong with that, but keep in mind that these engines can make a ton of power under boost with octane with the regular compression ratio they have from the factory. Gen 3 engines actually have more compression right out of the box. These are 12 to 1 in particular versus 9.5 to 1. So what are you giving up and what are you gaining by going with different compression there? Well, the lower compression is probably going to give you a lot more room for error and you can run a lot more boost, but you're giving up a heap of power because we know at 12 to 1 what we can do with a stock engine. So the NA version, being the same price, coming with the same gear, is really the way to go for most. I mean, I'm going to say maybe 99% of the usage out there where you require a built bottom end. That NA version at 12 to 1 is really going to be the way to go. It's going to allow you to continue to make as much power as you would expect from a stock engine, and you'll have the robust bottom end. All they're really doing here is rods and pistons. That's it. They're not sleeving them. They do oil pump gears, rods and pistons. Everything else is stock. So if you're looking for a crate engine, one that you're going to really take to 1,000 horsepower, and you don't want to take the chance on a stock engine to do so, this is your option. If you have a stock Mustang and you blow up your stock Gen 3 motor because you have boost, this is your have it in 5 to 7 business day option versus building the engine, potentially getting an let's say irregular result path, having downtime, and then having to really piece everything together on top of getting all that work done. So this is the way to roll for quick, easy solution for a bottom end that can handle boost in a Gen 3. If you have a healthy Gen 3 or let's say 18 and up Mustang, before it blows up, if you know you want to take it to that point, buy one of these ahead of time and then pull your engine out once you have it. That way when you're done, you have an engine you can sell to somebody else because this thing comes loaded, top to bottom. That way you have pretty much a $5,000 or $6,000 bargaining chip in used form as long as it's healthy. So keep that in mind as well. For the guys doing Coyote swaps, all the regular swap information as it applies to the Gen 3 engines is going to apply to these in particular. I stole some photos from Ivan Korda. He actually is building an F100 right now for FordMuscle.com, and this is the engine that he posted. He got serial number 1. I don't know if he got the SC or the NA version, but this is essentially how it comes, just like they have it in the pictures, preloaded with everything. You can see some of his F100 parts in the background. This is the photo that Ford Racing supplies, the stock photo for the Aluminator engine. As you can see, no exhaust manifolds, composite oil pan, just it's all stock gear, man. And it's a nice option. It's not going to be the option for everybody looking for a stock engine to put into their Coyote swap, but for a boosted application, it's really the way to go if you want to be safe. Up to 1,000 horsepower. If you're going to go beyond 1,000 horsepower, then you need a sleeve version of it, and it's time to spend some money and work with a builder that you know is going to deliver something that is up to your spec and can handle the abuse and is consistent and it's not going to have any issues. Hook up with them, send an engine to them, get it built. That way you're not crying on the side of the road. Let's see here. We got a few questions before we get into the Godzilla. Parker's here. Parker calls me hood thief. It's not my fault. Coyote Car Guy chiming in. F-150, S550. Can I get a Gen 3 short block with Gen 2 heads, even with the difference in board? Yes, you can do like what they call, I've seen 321 engines. Gen 3 bottom end, Gen 2 heads, Gen 1 cams, or Gen 2 cams are an option there too. So yes, all that stuff is available. Now let's move on to the even bigger announcement, which is that Ford Performance has released a part number and crate engine of the 7.3 Godzilla V8. If you don't know the 7.3 Godzilla V8, it is basically available now in the 2021 and 2020 Super Duty F-Series pickups. Now, it is built massive for fleet use. It is not an overhead cam engine. It is a overhead valve engine with VCT, variable cam timing, which is something new that I have not seen in the block camshaft overhead valve V8, especially from Ford. The 7.3 engine is a big hefty girl. She's 580 pounds without an alternator, without an AC compressor, or a power steering pump on it. 580 pounds as a long block. Intake to oil pan, no accessories. That's about 100 pounds heavier than a Coyote engine, right out of the box. It makes 430 horsepower. I want to say, let's see, I got some stats here. Let's look at the Godzilla here. It makes 430 horsepower at 5,500 RPM, so she's not a high revving engine like the Coyote. 475 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM, so we got a torque monster. Naturally, it's 440 cubic inches, 7.3 liter. This is something, it's a far departure from what we're used to in the performance world from Ford, because we're not used to having displacement. And I think it's very appealing to a Ford guy to finally have that within our own brand. Now, the 460s have always been available back in the day, but it's not a new engine. Here is new technology applied to a big bore, big block Ford V8. And I think the conversation right now that everyone is having is, what is this thing going to do? How are we going to put it into a car? How's it going to compare to what we already have in the Coyote itself? Now let's go through some more of the specs. We've got a cast iron block. That probably attributes to the big weight, 580 pounds. Like I said, aluminum cylinder heads, cam and block overhead valve design, forged steel crankshaft. We got 10.5 to 1 compression, which is no slouch. At least it's not super low. It's port injection, so no direct injection here at all. It's going to come intake, the crate motor itself, intake throttle body, left and right exhaust manifolds, production oil pan and cooler, production flex plate. It comes with a little cradle and factory lift brackets. Now, the factory engine, let's see here. Let's take a really closer look to it. This is the new Godzilla 7.3 liter V8. Now, some of the things I looked at today right off the bat is the hoses for the radiator just have regular connections. That's cool because we don't have to sell you any type of adapters. That'll help make things a little bit more affordable. The manifolds really don't look terrible. The engine overall down below and up top is smaller because this thing is kind of shaped like an LS motor. In fact, there's a lot of things that look similar to an LS motor because there's only so many ways you can skin that cat when you're building a big bore V8. From the factory, these engines have a fan on them, so you're going to have a fan clutch from the factory. In the crate motor, you don't see that. You just have a water pump pulley. From the factory as well, let's see if we can find the photo. We'll click through here. As you can see in this photo, it's a little distorted, but I think you can see what I see. Right off the bat, there's two alternators. Remember, this is a Super Duty engine. Super Duty engines are for heavy-duty trucks, and sometimes they have twin alternators because they have power takeoff units and all that stuff for tow trucks, box trucks, refrigeration units, and all that stuff. So this one in particular, it shows the dual alternator, but what more importantly it shows that it comes with a power steering pump. So we're working with Ford right now to get some information on that pump and see what it is, and we're now investigating it to see where we can help guys with the swap. In this photo, you can also see that the oil cooler appears to be on the driver's side, but you don't see an oil filter anywhere. The oil filter is located on the other side. Let's see if we can find that photo real quick as we click through these. Here we go. Here's an actual picture that ProCharger put out of their projected unit that they're going to be putting on the 7.3. And if you look down at the bottom, on the driver's side, that's your oil filter placement. So will that be a problem for long tube headers? Will it fit in tighter K-members? We don't know yet. We're kind of working out all these things as we go. We're just kind of speculating what we're going to run into as we try to fit this into, let's say, a Fox body or anything else along those lines. Here's a picture of a row of them put together. I don't know when. I think it's when they announced the engine in particular. But you can see it's big, but it's not super big because it doesn't have those camshafts up top with 4 camshafts and so forth. This is one that Brian Wolf has been talking about at the shop that I forget the Fox Lake or somewhere that he works, or where they're working on putting one in a Fox body. Evan Smith has been covering it quite a bit. And you can see this, $4,000 or $5,000 Hogan style manifold up top with blast panels and all that stuff to get this thing to work, maybe to shove a bunch of boost through a turbo into it or a ProCharger. This is an interesting photo because here you see it in a Fox body, bolted into a Fox body. It clears the towers easily. So again, tidy, small, width-wise. Height-wise, a little bit of an issue because the intake manifold from the factory shoots the throttle body into the atmosphere and to the right. So from the factory, the air box is over on the passenger side. Now, to make it fit into a Fox or a car that has hood clearance issues, where you're not going to have a cowl hood on it and a really tall ceiling, that adapter that you saw in that picture may be something that not only they have to come up with, or we need to come up with, somebody's going to come up with to help make that work. Or do we have to make adapters for intake manifolds, or use different intake manifolds on it? Who knows? Everything's kind of up in the air right now. All we know is we have a part number. There's no control pack. There is no way to run it right now unless you got a standalone and you got to figure it out on your own, or you're trimming down a factory harness, which aren't a whole lot of that stuff floating around. So control pack, Ford Racing told me today they're talking about winter. Now, unfortunately, development takes time. Making something new and getting it to market takes time. They struggled mightily before with releasing control packs. So if they're telling us winter now, I wouldn't be surprised if it bleeds into next year, middle of next year before you get it. But I'm hoping they get it out sooner because that makes it a lot easier and it drives the market. Right now there's an upswell in how many people are interested in this engine. And they want to run this guy. They want to do it because it's new. They want to get their hands on it. And if they don't have a control package, it's just going to make it hard to continue that momentum, basically, as people start putting it in. So we'll see how it works out. Now, the other thing to keep of note is transmission. Now, this Godzilla V8 has not been released with a 6R80 behind it, so it's easy to assume that you're not going to have a 6R80 option. The 10R80 is going to be your option for this engine. As far as a factory automatic, anything other than that, standalone controller or manual valve body. Manual transmission, remember, F-250s don't come in manual. So, bell housing adapter, T56, this thing's got a heap of torque. So those manual transmissions better be robust, and they better handle the amount of torque that you're going to put through them, even if you're going to boost it. Root Beer says he's got to run. Thank you very much, man. We really appreciate that. Jose Delgado chiming in. Thank you very much for the support, brother. Alfredo Diaz says, channel support also sent you an email about the hat and motor. We'll get you taken care of, brother. I'll find that email and get you knocked out either today or tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow. Most likely tomorrow. So, we'll get back to some of this Godzilla information here. Let's see. Let's get back to my tab. So here we go. We're back into that photo. Check this thing out. Now, remember, this is for fleet usage. That means there's going to be all sorts of PTOs and stuff that's going on. What's interesting about this photo is it's showing it with the intake elbow from the factory. Now, what's nice about that little elbow is that it may make it easier to adapt different cold air tubes, and you can kind of angle it down. That might help us move forward, and it gives provisions for all the PCV hoses, so you don't have to worry about putting bungs into the aluminum pipe or something else that you're going to be using. The fan clutch is bolted to the water pump. Naturally, you're not going to need that because you're not going to put the propeller of a fan from a Super Duty probably in your Fox body or your Fairlane or your F100. Electric fan is really going to what you're going to be using. This thing on the side here, I'd love to joke and tell you that's a power steering pump, but that's an air compressor, from what I gather, for Super Duty trucks that need an onboard air compressor. So that's a pretty neat thing, because then if you got a utility truck or doing roadside service, you can have an air compressor running right off the engine. So if you're building a Fox body Mustang for fleet usage and roadside service for tires and semis, rapid response, not a bad option for your Godzilla swap Fox body. Here's a side view. Looks like the driver's side of the engine, showing you the exhaust manifold. Looks like our pan is still aluminum, and you can see the oil cooler down there as well. The lower radiator hose connection towards the front of the engine. Looks like we have coil unplug. Okay, no, it's not dual plug. It just has the coils on the valve cover, that's right, and then the conventional spark plug placement that we've known on the Windsors and so forth. Here's the passenger side, where we get a clear view of the oil filter housing and where it sits. So it's really not much wider than the block, which is a good thing. It means it's nice and tidy. And again, it looks like from this angle, it's going to be pretty clear of any swap headers that you might be integrating into the swap. Looks like we still have a dual sheath balancer, so we're going to have an inner and outer belt. It's kind of like a 3/4 view of the passenger side. Yeah, it looks like we have, it's a funky balancer. You've got that smaller inside drive, larger outer drive, and then the balancer, kind of the meat of it, hangs out in front of it. And you can see some of the hot water tubes there, oil dipstick, where it's going to be placed. That engine lift bracket naturally is going to come out as soon as you install the engine, and then, you know, be sold on eBay to somebody else if they need it. Here's a frontal view. No accessories on it, but you can see where the tensioner is. See the idler, power steering pump, lower driver side, AC compressor, lower passenger side, so you can kind of imagine that stuff. Look at how much room there is in the valley there between the intake manifold and the engine itself. So seemingly a shorter runner intake, potentially, to make more torque. Maybe leaving room for someone to make a longer runner intake manifold if you're trying to make higher RPM power, which the engine by nature really isn't designed to do at this time. We don't know for sure. This was a really cool photo that I found of the air brakes. Someone mentioned that. That's exactly one of the reasons why you'd have that for an F550 or something like that. Yep, absolutely. So this is a very interesting photo. This is the oil pump on a 7.3 Godzilla engine. It runs off a jack shaft. The oil pump's located in the rear sump, and obviously there's going to be a pickup back there, filter built into it. So this means it has two timing chains. One goes directly up to the VCT head, and one goes down into the oil pan, connects to the front of the jack shaft. The jack shaft runs back and goes to the oil pump. This looks, I mean, I've never encountered anything like this in any of the Ford V8s in particular, but this is something that I don't know is going to be a problem or not. You know, is that oil pump and that jack shaft going to handle the abuse of superchargers and the load of a Pro Charger and that kind of, I mean, we'll see how everything works out. Obviously, it's going to take time and repetition to get through and get those answers out. The hopefully everything works out good, because I imagine if you have to get rid of this or update it, there is nothing else to go to. There's no other vehicle with this engine that has a different design that you can kind of pluck from. Let's take a look at the next photo here. This is a picture of the crankshaft timing chain connecting to the VCT. That is where your camshaft is. So this engine does have variable cam timing. It is the first time I've seen it on a the first time I've seen it on an overhead valve engine in particular. William McClary, if you need my email, it's frank@pbhperformance.com. So just shoot me an email or whatever you need. And Jack Hidley's with us tonight. And again, if you guys don't know who Jack Hidley is, he is one of the lead tech guys, one of the suspension gurus at Maximum Motorsports. And he's chiming in a little bit of information there on the 7.3. But yeah, VCT. So the general feeling is that we're going to put the 7.3 in my Fox body. I'm cool with 440 horsepower, even though it's less power than a Gen 3 Coyote. I'm going to have less RPM, but I want that thump. I want it to sound big. I want it to sound hefty. I miss that. I don't get that out of my Coyote engine. I want that grunt, and that's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're going to have to contend with that VCT. So if you put a big cam in there, the question is going to be, do you have to lock the VCT? Can you leave it? There's got to be a reason why they're putting that in there. It's usually for either emissions or drivability, or to improve torque versus horsepower in the RPM range, like we saw in the Coyotes as well. One of those reasons is there, and do you need to get rid of it? How big of a camshaft can you put in it? Is the camshaft going to thump? We'll see. I think, and I'm talking to the guys today, it sounds like it will. I mean, just put a bigger, get some more overlap in there, probably help with the power range. You're going to probably have to pick a power range. We're going back to how we used to do camshafts and Windsors and 351s and stuff like that. So a lot of things to consider in planning and how things are going to apply. But yeah, there's some, it's not just an old V8. They didn't just go, make a new 460. Send it over here. There's a lot of technology here. There's a lot of different things that are rolling through here. It's not going to be the good old days exactly. And there's a lot of questions to be answered. Questions that may not get answers as quick as you want, because this engine is not in a platform that is performance oriented. It really is not touted and developed as a performance engine. Now, there's going to be parts and people that make it into a performance engine, no problem. But out of the box, you're going to really have to answer that question, which is, which one should I go with? You're going to have to ask yourself, do I go with what is now the run-of-the-mill Coyote swap if I'm looking to get an updated powertrain from Ford? Or am I going to do a Godzilla that maybe by then it is a known quantity and it's figured out? If you look at it power to power, what it's capable of doing, the Godzilla kind of falls short. It has its pros for sure, but heads up against a Coyote engine, there's some flaws. RPM. Again, I'm not going to ring it out. I'm not going to road race it. I don't want to rev it all the way to the moon. I want grunt. Well, this is what you're going to get in that grunt. You're not going to get RPM. And if you got to redline it at 6,000 RPM, 6,500 RPM, the guy in the Fox body next to you can run it to 75, 8,000, 9,000 RPM potentially. On top of that, these Godzilla engines in early testing and boosted applications, they're not holding up to the same amount of boost that the Coyotes do. We know going into a Coyote engine, I can add probably 200 horsepower, if not more, to it, if I get the right one or I tune it right. So let's say 200 to 300 horsepower is feasible, depending on how you do it, and it blows up, that kind of stuff. Fuel as well. This Godzilla V8 has not so far proven to do the same thing, from what I've been told. No first-hand knowledge, but from what I've been told by people in the know, is that it's scattering rods and pistons with 10, 11 pounds of boost. So, does that factor into your plans? If you don't care and I just want that grunt, give me that 440 foot-pounds of torque, Give me that, everything that the Godzilla gives me, and I'll add a cam and I'll put an intake manifold on it, and I'll be happy. Let's say I get, you know, 450 horsepower out of it, I'm good. Then it might be a good fit for what you're doing. If you're looking for efficiency, overall power, the most options to make more power, it looks like the Coyote still has it licked. So on top of that, there's going to be more support for a Coyote because it's in a Mustang. You're not going to see a ton of aftermarket companies jump on the 7.3 because they're basically making their biggest market in making parts for the 7.3 is going to be a Super Duty owner. And a Super Duty owner that wants to go to the track on Friday night and run a good number probably is going to have a diesel. If he does boost his Godzilla, he's got a Super Duty. How fast is this thing going to really go? He's going to be chasing diesel guys. And diesel guys, well, they got even more displacement and turbos from the factory, and we all know what they can do. I mean, if you haven't seen what a diesel can do these days, it's pretty intense. I mean, I think they're making 1,000 foot-pounds of torque now. So is it going to be what the Coyote has become? I see a lot of potential issues there and expecting it to be that. Is it going to end up in swaps? Yes. Is it going to be at SEMA? Yes. Are big name builders going to put them in $250,000 Fairlanes? Absolutely. Whipple's making a supercharger for it. ProCharger, Vortec, they're all going to be on board. Again, though, the support that they're building is mainly going to be aimed at the Super Duty owners. And those guys typically aren't running around dropping cams in their trucks and doing long tube headers and getting tunes from 5 different places. And naturally, that's just not what they do with those trucks. It's not the aim of them. It's built for fleet. So that may be a sticking point to continued development, so that when you put it in your project car, you plan for it, you can do everything you want to do. You may be limited, or you may find yourself on an island where you're trying to figure things out and you fall short of your own expectations because you wanted the latest thing. So be cautious in planning, and you're going to have to be patient basically to see how this thing works out. The first guy in line is always going to be the one that encounters the most issues, and those are the SEMA builds. And unfortunately, guys, SEMA builds, they usually get pushed into the building, pushed back into the trailer, and go home. I know we've worked with several of them, high-end builds that were Coyote with the best parts, and they were nowhere close to be done. Not because they ran out of time, because they were not figured out. And it's false advertising, really, at the end of the day, because you're going to the show going, I want that. Here's the catalog. Here's the part number. Buy it. You buy it. You go to put it in your own car. You run into these issues. You're going, but wait, it was at SEMA. Well, did you see it run and drive? Probably not. So don't get too hyped up if you start seeing them at SEMA and PRI and all these different builders start talking about it and doing it. Really, where you want to get hyped is when there's a control pack and you see 5-10 guys continuously working out the bugs, tuners saying, I got it, headers, all these things, all these little quirks being developed and pushed out into the market so that you can also use them and you can learn from the issues that they've run into. That's where you want to be. If you want to be first, just make sure you have a team around you and people working with you and some insight on what you're going to have to do, because you're going to run into problems. There's going to be issues. There's going to be stuff that's unforeseen that you're going to have to overcome or weld or fabricate or wait for the component to come out. Tuning may not be ready to go right off the bat. I know when Ford Racing releases a control pack, that's a whole new file. They're not going to be able to go to a Mustang file and share what they did there. They're going to have to go to a Super Duty tuning file, which some tuners are already working on, but how is it going to apply? So 7.3 Godzilla, I'm interested. I'd like to see more engine options because we want to make more parts and help more engines go into all these cool builds and be part of them. But we got to be cautious as far as what we have at our disposal to get it done for real. We're not all master fabricators. And we don't all have master fabricators located in our town within earshot, or as a buddy of yours from high school is willing to do it for peanuts. So Yes, I like it. I want to see it succeed. Any success is good. But pull back the reins. This thing is all over social media. This thing is all over the internet right now. People are fired up. We're getting phone calls left and right for this engine and control packs. It's not available at all. Nothing yet. Maybe in tests we don't know about, but it's not there yet. But the good news is you see Whipple developing parts. You see us interested in it. ProCharger, the control pack from Ford Racing. Those are all good signs. The more aftermarket support is available and is being poured into it, the better chance that this thing is going to be a feasible option for you in the future. Your fallback is no slouch. It is Coyote engine heaven right now. Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Roadrunner, Voodoo, Illuminators. Everyone's got you covered. Top to bottom. So, dare to be different. Be cautious. Don't waste your money. And make sure you got a good team of support around you if you're going to be first on this thing. If you're willing to wait, I think you'll have a better result to anything you're planning on doing. So, give it time. It's probably going to take a year or two for things to really roll and come around for this Godzilla V8. And considering that, I don't even know if SEMA's going to happen. I looked at the map for SEMA, and it seems kind of light. The floor plan doesn't seem like there's a whole ton of people going. I see a lot of booths that are inside the buildings that you aren't usually in the buildings, and they don't have a whole lot of outside area mapped out just yet. So I don't know if that's a sign for sure, but it looks like it's pretty. There's a lot of empty booths too, so booths are still available for SEMA. That's kind of crazy too. I'm drinking my sparkling ice caffeine drink here. Somebody's gonna have to tag them in these videos so they know we're shouting them out. See if they'll send me a case of this stuff. All right, so 7.3 Godzilla. We'll take another quick look at some of the stuff that we have. Here's the listing on our website, pbhperformance.com. I believe the part number on this one is M600773. Cast iron block, 580 pounds without accessories, without coolant in it, without oil in it. Cam and block overhead valve design, 430 horsepower, 475 foot-pounds of torque. Not a rev monster, 5,500 RPM. It seems like it's peak power. 475 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM, 10.5 to 1 compression, port injection. So most likely, 255-liter per hour pump's going to be fine. Fuel system adapters and stuff like that. We'll see what the control pack does. Most likely it's going to be a return-style system to mimic whatever they got going on with the fuel system from the factory. Here's some more cool photos of it. We have a lot of photos on our website as well that you can look at. Power steering seems to be something that's going to be on there from the factory. And additionally, I don't think it's going to be in a bad place. So you may not see a speed drive for something like this unless we're talking about relocating accessories to fit in tighter frames, like if you're building a 32 Highboy or something like that, or an aftermarket frame, or even an F100 where the gearbox is in the way. Superchargers. Here's a good shot of what Whipple has released as far as a photo of more or less what it's going to look like. There is some information on SVT performance as well. A nice article with high-res photos of it. Yeah, I mean, looks great. Looks like a Gen 5 for a Coyote. These are the pictures from, I'm not sure if it's at Team Z. I know Brian Wolf is involved in this one here in particular. But of a stock intake manifold with that crazy elbow to, looks like either to clear the hood. I'm looking at this picture, I see a stock hood on the roof, and I'm looking at the sight line of where the fenders are in relation to that elbow, and they're going to have to cut a hole. So this looks like it'd be a turbo build to me. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here. And here's a shot of a ProCharger from the front on a 7.3 Godzilla. So it looks like they're going to be adding a pulley to the front. Probably their cam style deal that they use now on the Coyotes, on that big kind of bulkhead or big mass on the front of the stock balancer. So a third belt is typically how ProCharger does stuff. But what's neat, the supercharger's not hanging off 3 blocks over to the left or behind the headlights. It looks like it's on the engine, similar to how like Vortec has been doing it and so forth. So it'd be interesting what Vortec does, because if Vortec puts in the same place, man, aesthetically, you're going to be looking at the same blowers. Now you're really getting into tough territory because now you're really looking at blowers based on exactly what they can do and what kind of power they can make. So that's going to be interesting as well. Here's another shot of the Pro Charger. It looks like it's a real shot of it. I don't know. It looks like it might be photoshopped. From what I can tell, that bracket and blower looks massive. This probably is Photoshop, but can you imagine? What is that, like an X1X? Yeah, it looks a lot more normal here. A couple more shots of the engine. Here's with that crazy fabbed intake manifold. Looks like something that's ready to handle 1,000 pounds of boost. Here's actually an interesting photo of the valve cover without the coils on it, too. That's pretty interesting. It looked like it'd be probably easier to make out of aluminum. Maybe a fabbed version. Be interesting to see if somebody can build a valve cover that conceals the coils, like a Hemi-style valve cover. Here's a picture of it in that Fox body. Obviously, you can see the room between the towers and the engine itself. And then that crazy air brake, air compressor. I'd like to see somebody put that on a Fox. Cast iron manifold, or it looks like they're cast iron manifolds as well. So, yeah, Godzilla, it's here. It is now available. And we're going to be getting a lot of questions about it. And we want to try to get as much tech, as much information out there as possible for you guys so that we can supply it and potentially sell them and get you some stuff. But right now, it's at its infancy. There isn't a whole lot of known answers to what it takes to get it into a car, what transmissions we're going to be able to put behind it, how does it run, what's it going to run. You can do calculators, that kind of stuff. Overall, though, it fits. I mean, let's wedge it in there. People were putting lightning motors in Fox bodies, and the blower stuck out past the cowl hood sometime. You know, and that only made 400 or 500 horsepower. This thing can do that, you know, and Coyote can do a lot more than that. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Will PBH become Coyote swap specialist as well as Godzilla swap specialist and 6R80 and 10R80 specialist? You know, we'll see. We will see. You guys tell me what your initial thoughts are. Do you want this engine? Does it appeal to you? If it does appeal to you, what is it that's so appealing? You haven't heard it yet. You really haven't seen it run a number. It's big. Does that appeal to you? Does it get your juices flowing? Does it give you little butterflies in your stomach, you know? So I see there's a lot of conversation going on in the chat. I'm going to answer some of these paid chats here. Channel support. Okay. William McCleary. Hey, Frank, I sent you an email under my AOL account. Okay. I'll take a look at it and see if I can dig it up, brother. If not, email me again, just a reminder, or respond to your own email and forward it to me. Something so it just flags me. Unfortunately, we're getting a lot of emails lately. So, Doug chiming in here, channel support, and for dealing with all my emails I've sent since starting down the Coyote swap path. Doug, I think it was you that I was speaking to about the hydraulic clutch slave conversion kit. I answered that email again today, so look at it if it is you. I'm pretty sure it's you, and see what I sent you there, because I think we're gonna have that pretty soon as an option for you. All right, so let's see what questions we can get out of the chat today. Wild Horse Garage says tuners will probably just use the modified Chevy LS file. That's kind of funny. I mean, no, with HP tuners, man, as long as they set it up, they can just suck off the factory file and start changing certain switches and see what they end up with. Caleb from Voxcast Media says, what I see is so many guys are still intimidated by the modular Coyote engines, and here comes a push rod, so they're jumping on board. It's an interesting comment, Caleb, and if you guys don't know who Caleb is, he has Foxcast Media on YouTube. Follow his channel. Hit that notification bell as well. He's got a lot of good content, and he uses a lot of our products in their Coyote swaps, so there's tech there to be had that we don't necessarily, get to catch and put on our own website and on our own channels. So definitely support him if you can. You're right. I was kind of thinking back, when did all the engine swap madness really start? right? So the Coyote engine we know has been strong. It's been like the biggest crate engine that Ford has produced, I think, ever. I mean, yeah, the 302s and the 351s, but they had so many years that they directly fit into. It's kind of hard to gauge it by that. Putting modular engines into Fox bodies isn't something new, or even into any car, basically. But it seems like the support really kicked off when Ford Racing started making control packs. Now, the control packs really weren't started as engine swap only. They were designed mainly for the Cobra Jet program. So I remember the first control packs were the GT500 wiring harness kits for the Cobra Jets. It would allow you to run that 5.4 liter engine, albeit kind of hackery. You know, they turn off all sorts of stuff in them to just get them to go down the track. But it was the beginning of that. And then we had 3-valve control packs. Then we bled into the Coyote swap stuff. So it really started in the 5.44 valve, the 3-valve stuff. And then when the Coyote engine came out, everyone was kind of tentative. 2011, some stuff started coming out. They were making good power. We had more power than ever from the factory. Everyone was interested. When we had our epiphany was when we had a Hellion car on our dyno. It was the first kits that Hellion set out, which were the small turbo, small single turbo. They wouldn't make power beyond 6,500 RPM because nobody realized that the back pressure was an issue. That's why you see all these twin turbo kits now and big singles and so forth for Coyotes. But the thing made a heap of power up into 6,500 RPM. And it was like, whoa, wait a minute, we got something here. We got some power to be made, and it's handling it. And when people realize you can add 150, 200 horsepower to them, if I can fit it into my car, oh wait, there's a control pack from Ford Racing as well. I can have everything that an 11 and up Mustang owner has, because that car was solid. It was fast with modification, and put it into a lighter car or my older car. It's going to run like a sewing machine, make 650 horsepower on pump gas, and I don't have to build an engine. I have a factory computer running the whole thing. All I got to worry about is fabrication as far as mounts, long tube headers, plumbing in the radiator, cooling system, plumbing in the fuel system, tuning, which was supported already. Home run. Everything came together at the right time to really kick it off. So can lightning strike twice? Is this going to be a continuation of what we've done with the Coyote engine? And yes, modular engines still are kind of freaking people out. But Caleb, I would say that it's not going to be any easier with a Godzilla. Because even though it's overhead valve, you're still going to be using a stock computer and a control pack to control it. If you use a standalone, does that standalone work with VCT? It's taken a while for VCT to be even an option on the Coyote. So how quick are these easy solutions going to come about? They talk about putting a carburetor on it. Okay. I mean, you're kind of regressing there, I would say. But that depends on how it performs with fuel injection and from the factory. If it doesn't perform up to snuff, and Ford Racing control pack ends up being a nightmare, you know, I can't say there's going to be a ton of swaps going on out there because they know they can put a carburetor on it. Or TBI, maybe, but I would think fuel injection system is going to be the way to go. So, yeah, interesting observation there. I think, yes, Coyote swaps are definitely the big upswing in modular swaps because there's more support for them and they're better engines. So, yeah, Bobby Warman says because it has more of everything. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Juan Jimenez, if it has the same firing order, is it possible to use a control pack? Probably not. I mean, in short, yes, maybe. Anything's possible with time and money and development and so forth, but I don't see that being an easy thing. We'll see what the firing order is. I didn't get a chance to make my engine graph for this engine, but I have all the tech. I'm going to be posting that up on the website here soon. It's going to be an expansion of our already existing engine graph. If you guys haven't seen this, we have this in our information instruction tab of our website, and it covers the Gen 1 through 3 Coyote engines and some of the pertinent information about them between F-150 and Mustang. I'm going to make the same graph with the Boss 302, with the Voodoo engine, and then with the Godzilla, so you can see those three next to each other. And I'm probably going to do the same thing with the Aluminator engine, so we just have all that information in one place. So look for that. I'll probably be posting it up in some of the groups if you guys are in some of the groups with me on Facebook. If anybody knows of any type of Godzilla swap group, or where there's a lot of Godzilla talk going on, or Godzilla.com website, let me know so I can dig into them as well, because this is kind of an open book right now, and all these minds trying to come together and figure this thing out. It's only going to help that we're all communicating. Let's see here. Parker. Is the autofocus really going in and out? Man, I didn't see it. I locked the AFE on this thing. Sorry about that. Probably, pop a Zanny bar and drink a couple beers. You'll be fine. Poor boy 313. Frank, what oil pump gears do you recommend? Recommend Plus cams for Gen 1 with VMP supercharger in the future. What we've always done is, let me fix the AFE lock on the camera here. That should work. All right, so poor boy 313. So you're talking about oil pump gears and camshafts for your Gen 1 Coyote that you might boost in the future. What we've always did is we put the comp cams, stage 3 cams in there with the limiters. We used TSS oil pump gears in the past. We've used MPR oil pump gears. We've used liver noise oil pump gears and had success with all of them. Oh, good Lord. Parker, look what you made me do to my camera, man. Look at this. There we go. Now we fixed it. Unreal. All sorts of technical issues tonight. Thank you. Thanks for hanging in there, all 75 of you. So what we did in the past with Gen 1 Coyote engines, NA, that we're going to transition to boost, we found that the comp cams, stage 3 cams with limiters worked fine. Oil pump gears, TSS, MPR, liver noise, I have all experience with, had good experience with all of them. Those are the recommendations I can give you because I have first-hand knowledge with them. You can set that up NA and enjoy it. You're going to lose probably about 10-15 foot-pounds of torque. You're going to gain about 10 to 15 horsepower up top. That all depends on your intake manifold setup and how hard you're leaning on it, and octane and valve springs and tuning and so forth, but about 10-15 horsepower. When you go to put boost into it, those cams still work just fine, man. You're not going to have any issues putting a VMP supercharger on there, which is a great fit. PD blower in general for those camshafts, because you do lose that low end punch from the cams. Now you're adding it back with that instant boost from a positive displacement blower. It's still going to rev to the moon. You're not going to have a plateau or a drop off up top because you have those camshafts in place. The only thing I would recommend additionally, while you're in there, do the valve springs. Get the Boss valve springs, get new valve springs, get upgraded valve springs, put them in there, get good quality valve springs, and just knock it out while you can, because if that Gen 1 motor is used, you put cams in it, you don't do valve springs now, all of a sudden you put boost into it, and it starts losing a little bit of power up top, it's probably because the valve spring's a little tired. Might as well change them out while you have it all exposed. I know it's not easy to do, but try to do it. And, oh, look, actually we have a few questions from Poor Boy in the section. He says, do you sell used parts? We do have some used parts. You can hit us up with what you're looking for, see if we have it. And he says, sorry, I'm working and listening. No problem, man. No problem at all. As far as spelling, don't worry about it. I mess up shit all the time. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's find another comment. Insane Mustang. Rather have a high compression 5.4 with a PD blower if I wanted torque. Over the Godzilla? I mean, I agree. But would you rather go 5.4, high compression with a PD blower, 2-valve? Well, actually, no, you're talking about probably GT500 motor. Okay. GT500 motor, which you can get in a 5.8 if you really wanted to. Or what about a 5.2 Coyote? I know Alex on his show mentioned a 5.8 Coyote. Can you imagine if we could get that? Would that change everything? So, some options out there. I still think a PD blower on a Coyote being able to make 1,000+ horsepower and give you a decent amount of torque, seeing what they've run, it's going to be hard to really detract from that and say this is better in all fields or maybe in small fields here and there. I think the Godzilla versus the Coyote, stock for stock, is going to leave a lot on the table that you wouldn't leave on the table with a Coyote. You're going to have a lot more potential with a stock Coyote engine versus a stock Godzilla engine, especially when it comes to the boost department, RPM department, those kind of things. Really, it boils down to what you want out of your car. It's your money. It's your project. There's going to be better options across the board. If you really want the most efficient, powerful option, then we're talking about putting electric motors in it. What about the power boost option that's soon to be released in the F-150? A 3.5 twin-turbo EcoBoost, making 400 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque with a hybrid battery. Is that hybrid battery going to help propel it? If it does, is it going to make it faster? Can I adapt that to a Mustang? What if I put electric hubs on the front of a Mustang, put a 3.5 twin-turbo in there, put a battery underneath the floorboards or in the trunk? Now I have an all-wheel drive Mustang that makes 600, 800 foot-pounds of torque, and I have a 30-amp hookup to go camping. So, who knows? Sky's the limit. But again, any project you do, think about what you want out of your investment and match up the components accordingly. That's all you have to do. I mean, do your research. This is a good place to get some of that research and some of that information. The people in this chat are excellent sources of information. We're all part of a community that's trying to do the same damn thing, make cool shit. So, use it to your advantage. Don't abuse it. Jose Delgado says, I would only use the Godzilla in an enclosed ramp truck to haul my 64 Falcon Coyote swap. Not bad, man. Hey, I would love to end up. My Expedition has now 190,000 miles on it. And I'm pretty much restoring the damn thing. I put body mounts in it last week, which was a pain. I mean, it destroyed me physically to do it, but I got it done. The truck runs great. It's got a 6R80 behind the 5.4 3-valve already, but eventually it'll get tired. I use it to tow my Coyote Swap Fox body. I would love to put a Coyote in it and have a Coyote Swapped Expedition with a Coyote Swap Fox body behind it. Who knows? Maybe we'll buy a Godzilla motor and we'll test it in that thing. I don't know, but probably not. I'd rather probably put a Coyote in it with a 6R80 behind it, use our harness that's going to be coming out for the 3-valve. It'll probably, for the S197, it'll probably maybe work on the F-150 Expedition. If it does, great, because I'll have stock gauges and all that stuff. Alejandro Flores is in the chat room. If you guys, I gave Caleb a shout out there. Obviously, if you know him, Alejandro Flores on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to his channel and check out his Tuesday broadcast. A lot of good tuning information in there. I think we're going to be working together on some videos on tuning, IMRCs, and even vacuum routing, how it affects tuning and how it affects the Coyote engines and how they run, which is a pretty cool topic. Let's see here. Bobby Wortman. Let's see here. Any other questions? Wild Horse Garage says LS engine right there, haha. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that look similar, you know, and GM and Ford have been working together on transmissions, and even Chrysler, so who knows what stuff creeps over party lines there. All right. Let me see if I can get caught up on what's going on. True. All right. So there's a lot of chat talk going on, but I'm trying to find what are if there's any questions. Let's see here. Johnson 50. I think I said it right. Wait till the electric assist turbos are available. They are something that's going to be happening. I think I saw Porsche has something like that going on. Audi even has something going on as well. Also, I'm going to give you guys a quick product update. We just did today. We've been talking a lot about the Revolver power steering pump bracket with a GM Type 2 pump. I had some issues with the first pump we tested from Jones Racing. We tried a Vision OE replacement power steering pump on my car. It worked, but it was noisy as hell. I put a Detroit Speed power steering pump on there, and I'm happy to report that it worked great. I'm going to be running it in an autocross on July 10th if everything goes well and the apocalypse stays away. If everything tests out perfectly there, I can give it the full-fledged support. Right now, I think it's going to work perfectly. That pump is now on our website. We do offer it with a pulley. Comes with AN fittings, -6 and -10. It's small, works on a revolver bracket, bolts right up. You can mount it in multiple different positions. And it actually increases the GPM, gallon per minute. At 1500 RPM, it's producing 3 to 3.4 GPM. What that's going to mean for you is your steering is going to be quicker than what you expect from a modular Ford pump that's usually around 2.4 gallon per minute, around that RPM, 2.4, 2.6. Still the same pressure, 1200 to 1400 PSI on the pressure relief, so it'll work fine with or without Hydro Boost. So, good pump. It's on the website. I think it's PBH 651 is the part number. I just put a generic photo of it up today. We'll get some more stuff. All right. Let's see here. Poor Boy 313 says, I think the guys down under will like the Godzilla motor. Absolutely. Bigger is always better. They always say that's the American way, but the Aussies kill it, man. They do some crazy stuff down there. All my Australian customers are awesome. I love dealing with them. Let's see. Coyote Car Guy says, put a 7.3 Godzilla in an F-150 truck. You should take that, copy, paste it, and send it to Ford and have them do that. And then we may have some more support in the aftermarket, since there'll be even more engines out there to potentially get from the junkyards. And you can buy them from Midway Mustang and Crank a Pallet and all that other stuff. Doug wants us to hurry with those videos from Alex and I. We'll see. We're going to start working on the scripts for that. Him and I need to get together and do some other creative stuff too. So, let's see here. Star Wars fan. The Gen 3 motors I found for a Coyote swap are usually around 50K miles. It really depends on where you're buying them. I know you guys are having a little conversation there about mileage. William McClary says his 2010 No BS is 227K miles on 3-valve. The 3-valve gets a really bad rap on longevity. I'll tell you, a 2-valve and a 3-valve engine properly maintained, not ragged out, it will last just as long as any other V8 from Ford. I got 190K on mine. Knock on wood. I haven't had issues with VCT. I haven't had issues with the base oil pressure, which does plague the 3 valves. I have several 3-valve engines that we had running rough, and the issue they developed is that their base oil pressure just kept dropping. And when it would drop below, I think it was like 25 or 30 PSI when it got hot, the VCT on one bank would stop working. So you start chasing VCT issues and all this stuff, and it turns out being your base oil pressure. And it was funky because the car cold would never have the issue. You drive around long enough, the oil pressure would drop low enough, and boom, there it is, like clockwork. So use good oil, do it regularly, 3,000 miles, maintain it. It'll hold up. And performance-wise, the 3-valves really aren't a big slouch. I mean, yeah, they weren't the Coyotes. They didn't make 400 horsepower out of the factory, but you can add boost to them. You can make them sound really cool. And if 300 or 500 horsepower is your game, why not? Problem is, they cost the same to install as a Coyote. You still got to buy a control pack. Let's see here. What else are we missing? What else? Is there an autocross at the fairgrounds this weekend? They have cones set up for some. Okay. TLW 1022 is asking about a local event. The fairgrounds have cones everywhere because they're doing a drive-through fair food thing. So you're going to have all these people out there buying elephant ears and corn dogs and deep fried Oreos and, boiled shrimp and, peanuts on a stick or whatever the hell they're buying in those lines, and then eating that in their car. Now, eating fair food is hard enough while you're walking around. Imagine doing that in your car. Imagine getting an elephant ear covered in powdered sugar, taking a bite into it, and then just breathing out of your nose and just having all that shit go all over your dashboard and your friends and stuff. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to have to go do it. That'd be a good video. But I actually created another channel that I hope to launch, and it's called DSE TV. Now, DSE stands for, I'll have to be careful saying it here, but dick-shaped eats. So anything that's phallic in nature. So if you see me on another channel tasting corn dogs, bananas, anything along those lines, and eating it with my friends and enjoying it, check it out if you're into that stuff. I haven't done a video yet. We're still working on maybe doing that. Maybe when fair season comes around, we'll do it. But Kimbo Slice, what's coming in my PBH or 4 Performance Control Pack that I buy in PBH manual for my 05 GT? As far as control pack from us, what you're going to get is going to be that overlay body harness that's going to be specific to the S197. Then you're going to have gas pedal, O2 sensors, mass airflow meter, and PCM. That's it. Everything else will be sold separately. But you won't need to buy a complete control pack. Although pricing for that kit will probably be on par with our current control pack. But the nice thing is we are going to offer the harness separately from the control pack. So if you have all those parts already from a donor engine, good to go. You just need the harness and a PCM flash. Let's see. Gato says, my 5.4 2011 GT500 has blasted a spark plug twice. That's 2 different times. I've had the same one rethreaded. Is there anything that I can do to ensure it slows down the inevitable buying heads? That's a tough one, brother. If you've already helicoiled that hole and you keep popping it out, usually when you helicoil them, they're not really going to get any stronger. I know on the 3-valve cars, if we had to do that, the Lightnings like to do it a lot. They were blowing spark plugs out left and right. We'd have to helicoil them. Talk to maybe an engine repair place and see if there's an epoxy they use to mix with the helicoil. When you put that in there to really strengthen it, that can handle heat, and hopefully that'll hold up. Then try to find out why it keeps blowing that plug out, and if it's anything related to the piston, the tuning, the fueling, the injector, anything. Is that cylinder getting hotter than the other ones? Is it seeing something weird in the valve train? Anything along those lines, because you want to definitely kind of contain that issue. Another paid question here. Let's see. William McClary says, what all is needed to Coyote swap my 2010 3-valve? What's best for you in a 2010, William, would be to source basically like a full crank-a-pallet 2011 to 14. Now, rarely do we really endorse doing a full crank-a-pallet, but in your case, the 2010 3-valve car is very, very similar to the 11 to 14 Coyotes. In fact, the body harness, I want to say, don't quote me on this, is the same. So if you had an engine harness, a transmission harness, a PCM, you can use the fuse block that's in there from the factory. Make sure the fuses are all in the same place. You should be able to use a cooling fan. Gauges should work. And then apply all the mechanical stuff to it. It doesn't sound like it would be that hard of a swap. Keys would have to be reprogrammed. ABS unit, we'd have to see if you can put the 11 to 14 ABS, the electronic side of it, in there so that it'll accept the VIN number from an 11 to 14 PCM, because that's what's going to be programmed through all the modules. But if it does accept the program, then you have to buy the ABS part. If you got to buy the ABS part, I believe the ABS unit is the same 10 all the way through 14. So it should be easy to just buy that $200 or $300 ABS electronic side of it, have it flash as a service replacement with the Coyote computer, take the VIN number from that computer, apply it to the ABS unit, apply it to the cluster, so everything will populate properly if there is any type of information center. And the CAN bus addresses should be the same. So it's a matter of really seeing body harness compared to body harness, make sure everything's pinned out properly, make sure there's fuses in the right place. If any of that stuff's different, and everything else should pop right into place. So good question, because you know the 2010 Mustang is kind of like the bastard child of the Mustang family, and there's older ones, but this one's the most recent bastard child. And they kind of screwed everybody, in my opinion. They released that new body style, they gave it the 3-valve, and everybody was all excited, and boom, they dropped the Coyote motor, and the world changed forever. Yeah, Bobby, LOL, drive-through food at fairgrounds. LOL, I figured would be for COVID testing. It is not for COVID testing. I saw it today. I saw something on on Facebook, I think it was marking that out. Let's see, poor boy 313. Frank, what got into autocross? Have you done any new mods to your car? The latest mod to my car has been the power steering pump because we're testing it. I got some other body stuff that I'm doing just so I can put a car cover on it while it's out in the weather, because when it comes here to the shop, I don't have an enclosed trailer and it gets all wet, and I had a misfire the other day when I drove it out of here. It's probably because the coils got wet and so forth from sitting out in the weather. So got to do that. And, I don't know. There might be big plans in the future for my car. There might be no big plans. It might be nothing other than driving it. There's not a whole lot of events coming up that I think are going to happen, so maybe different tires. I now have the Nexen SUR4Gs. They've been great. I'd like to try the BF Goodrich, but if I'm going to go with a BF Goodrich, I'm going to spend the time to maybe make the car's track width a little skinnier so I can put a 315 on it, get it with a wider wheel. I am flared out as far as body-wise, not personally, the car, but my track width is set up to be similar to 01 to 04 GT, so I don't have as much room under that bodywork as you think. So those are the plans for it, kind of, right now. Ryan Merrill, Modular Fox Body, says, Happy Canada Day, Frank. Happy Canada Day to you, sir. I got married in Montreal. I am a fan of Canada. I think Montreal was a lot of fun. We got some family up there. They're great. Definitely want to go back and visit. You can tell us about your neck of the woods. I've never been to the west side of the stuff. I think you're in the middle or the west side, Ryan. I'm not sure. Jose Delgado says, in a Coyote swap car, would you swap to an independent rear or keep a Ford 9-inch, mostly cruiser? I'd probably stay with a 9-inch, or an 8.8. You don't really have to put a 9-inch in there unless you have a vintage vehicle. Maybe it's easier to use a 9-inch than put an 8.8 in there. An 8.8 can handle an immense amount of power. There's plenty of parts available for it. You can do 9-inch axle ends on it and do whatever brakes you want, 4-piston, 6-piston, 10-piston, whatever. You can use off-the-shelf pieces with the C-clip style differential. You have brake options there as well. The IRS is no slouch. If you're going to go to an IRS, if we're talking about Fox body, you can then use the stuff available from your 99 to 04 Cobra. It does improve the car immensely as far as driving ability, but it wasn't the best thought out thing. It was kind of, they weren't really changing the box. The chassis is the same. There's still issues to deal with. If you're just cruising this thing, unless you're bagging it for some, and you want that extra ease of lowering the car, the IRS seems like a lot of work to me for a cruiser. There's a lot of work to be done there. And most likely you're going to find one used, and bushings get used and dry rotted, and changing those bushings out are not easy. Jack Hitley chimes in and says the 9-inch sucks. Well, Jack, I'm going to agree with you on there for a couple of reasons. The 8.8s, we've been able to get them set up to be quiet. None of the 9-inch rear ends I've ever gotten for customer cars, whether it be from big name companies or custom built, have been quiet. And every time we would say, hey, this thing's screaming and howling, they say, oh, it's your suspension. Well, in an S197 with polyurethane bushings, I should be able to hear the radio or a phone call. And really what it was is that they have to use aftermarket gears, and they tell you, the gears, they're a little noisy, you can't get factory ones anymore. Well, you can get factory ones in an 8.8. You can get a Super 8.8 housing. We've put 1,500 horsepower and launched 4,000 plus pound cars well low into the 8s with an 8.8 rear end, a stock 8.8 rear end with 9-inch axle ends. So unless you're doing more than that, the 8.8 seems to be just fine. There's plenty of options for you. If you already have a 9-inch, get some really good quality components. I know Detroit Speed just bought Gear FX, so that might be a good option for ring and pinion stuff as well, so you can check that out. Parker says, I should make some hood vent seals so no water gets in. I had some ideas when the hood was in my possession. I stole the hood from you, and thank you for the advice. I used to put an old car cover under the hood, but I was always worried I was going to forget it was underneath there and take off, and then the car catch on fire and burn to the ground. Let's see here. Alfredo Diaz says I run a 315 rear on my Fox with IRS 285 fronts with flares. I like that, and I kind of want to do the same thing. But without tubbing it, it's kind of hard to do with stock fenders on the 315 and getting a wheel, So we'll see. With the flares on there, I got an extra 1.5 inches of room. I should be able to pull it off. The other thing is finding custom wheels with the right offset without breaking the bank, because I don't want to spend $3,000-$4,000 on wheels. That means I want to use off-the-shelf stuff, and I don't want to use spacers. I just do not like aluminum spacers on my rear wheels that are doing all this work. It's just gives me the willies. It's Enzo Lorenzo. Can you run a 6R80 on a Roadrunner engine? If so, plan to swap it into 06 V6? Yes, you can. The Roadrunner engine, being a Gen 1, can be run with a 6R80 control pack, which is ours, with our body harness. You're going to use the Roadrunner engine harness and just add a 6R80 transmission harness, which is also something we offer in our catalog. I think it's PCP 1117. And you use an automatic PCM. You let your tuner know what you're doing, and they should be able to make the changes as needed. No problem. Yep, a couple guys are telling you the same thing. Parker says he's got an 88 with 9-inch ends. Yep. 04 Cobra IRS in my 93 Cobra. Can't wait to get the build finished. I know a lot of the guys that I raced with in American Iron had the IRS in their Fox bodies, and it worked great. It does take extra amount of work, but any IRS is like that. So just weigh the needs and wants, pros and cons, and stuff like that. Let's see here. Jack Hidley also chimes in and says 9-inch has a greater pinion offset than an 8.8. That makes it much more difficult to have low gear noise, too much shearing. I agree. Mr. King says, hey Frank, if I get a Gen 1 F-150 engine and swap to Mustang cams and such, could I use the Mustang swap harness? Yes. In Gen 1, you can the firing order is the same between Mustang and F-150. So is the wiring for the injectors and stuff like that. So with a Gen 1 control pack, you can use either an F-150 or Mustang engine harness. You can use Mustang or F-150 camshafts. Good to go. No problem there. Alfredo's giving me a little hint here. Aodon wheels, 18 by 10.5 for $200, or Koenig's Kansei wheels as well. I was looking at XXRs. Yeah, I just don't like the double drilled look, but I see them everywhere now. It seems like they're accepted. They used to be frowned upon like it was Bobo. I mean, it is Bobo because they knocked off CCW, but if it works, it works. As long as it's a good quality wheel, Koenig would be a good option. I'll look into those, man. See if that's an option for me. I'll have to look at what wheels you have on yours too, brother, because I know you have a nice setup on yours with the flares and everything. Maybe that's not you. Maybe that's Renee Ramos. I don't know. I mix everybody up these days. Forged R wheels are cost effective, can get custom offsets. I've seen those. I know the guys at Vorschlag sells them a lot. Terry Fair. Jeremiah Camp. What's up, brother? If I wanted to have a built 6R80 swapped into my car, would you recommend the 4R200 hub? Not quite sure on the power car puts down. I would say for you, Jeremiah, you drive your car a lot on the street. It's not really track oriented, and you're probably going to do a little bit of roll racing here and there, either in Mexico or in the former city of Chaz. I would say billet forward planetary to cover your bases and keep it a 6R80. That way, it's still a street car. The 4R200, unfortunately, with a stock computer, we're not going to get overdrive to work seamlessly. And it's a problem because then if you go on the highway, you don't want to be tacking this thing out. And if you're driving from Jupiter down here, going to the track or something like that, you're going to go through plenty of fuel because you're probably going to be like 4,000 RPM trying to go 70 miles an hour. So, because you're going to be in third gear with the converter locked. Ryan Merrill says he's got an 8.8 with a Watts link for road race, in my opinion. Oh, he says, in his opinion, an 8.8 with Watts link for road race. Watts link is nice, not overly necessary. It is a nice option. I know Jack can probably write you a book on the differences because I know they've looked into this and they still continue to use the panhard bar. The only thing I've been able to see with a Watts linkage, other than it looks really, really cool underneath the car, is that it's locating the differential square no matter where you are in the compression. So with a panhard bar, since you have a fixed point on the chassis and then one on the differential, as it travels up and down, you get an arc. So your rear wheels kind of travel in this plane or whatever, the trajectory or whatever. With a Watts linkage, it absorbs that and allows it to go straight up and down. Whether that's a huge difference, I don't know, because when I drove S197 cars with or without, I couldn't feel the difference. So, and all the FR500 race cars that were built from 05 to 14 by Ford, whether it's the 3-valve Mustang Challenge cars, FR500 cars, Boss 302S, all those different options, they all had panhard bars. So let's see here. Well, man, it's 8:30. I went extra long today because I completely flubbed and screwed up the beginning of the show. So I'm gonna sign off now because it's getting a little late and I gotta get home. Thank you everybody for being on here tonight. We had more technical issues than I really want ever. And I apologize about that, but thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for all the support in the chat room. 79 concurrent viewers. That's awesome. It looks like we're continuing to grow this. If you want to tell people about the show, I'm going to try to put the link to the next live video up earlier. That way you can send it to people if you need to tell them about it or want to share it on social media. We're going to be working on making some changes here. Hopefully by the time I get back on the air, which is not going to be next week. We're talking about the week following. So the week of, we will not be here, let's see, July 1st. We'll be back on July 8th. Hopefully we'll have some new setup here, dual monitors, better camera, different lighting and stuff like that. Maybe make some changes here behind me to make the stuff. Hopefully tonight's information kind of opens up the book a little bit on the 7.3 Godzilla. It lets you know about the Aluminator motors as well and why those two options are very important to look at. But the Godzilla, the book's not written yet on the Godzilla. There's no wise old man yet. And nobody you talk to, even us, know everything about it. So take all the information in, process it, and see if it's really going to apply. A lot of speculation right now. So don't get too crazy. Don't order one yet unless you're trying to be the first one. You're ready to do all this stuff on your own because I got nothing. Nobody has anything for you really readily available. So PSA as well. Make sure all your vacuum lines are hooked up and tell your tuner if you deleted the IMRCs. Keep that in mind. What else? Thank you. Hats, email me, frank@pbhperformance.com. The people have already emailed me. I will get back to you tomorrow and get that situated and get you rolling. We're going to have more of them coming down the road. Thank you, American Powertrain, for the shirt and the service. If you need a T56 and you need all the supporting pieces, we can get them for you. It's not on our website. I'm working on that. I got to build a module to kind of show you all that stuff and get all the part numbers squared away. So soon, very soon. And yes, Godzilla engine and the new Gen 3 Aluminator engines are already on the website. As parts become available and we start thinking about doing stuff, we'll release some information here and there. Detroit Speed Power Steering Pump is also on the website. So if you're looking to go with a GM Type 2 and get an upgraded pump over potentially what you have in the modular Ford one, we have it available for you. It's ready to rock. Thank you for being patient with me tonight. I'll work on doing a better job next time. So sorry about that. That was embarrassing. But we'll be back. You guys have a great 4th of July. Be safe out there. Try not to get COVID-19. Wear a mask. If you're okay wearing a mask, wear it. It helps everybody, I think. I don't know. The cases are going like crazy. So I just got tested. I'm negative still. So we're all good here at PBH. Florida seems to be a hot spot, but things are still rolling. So it's not terrible yet. I guess we can't go to a bar and drink, so we just got to drink on the patio. Thank you again, guys. I've said that like 5 times, but I really do mean it. Thank you so much. Let people know about the channel. Share the videos. Comment. like the videos. All that stuff helps us grow the channel, helps us get reach out to more people so they can know that we're here. We can help them as well, just like we've helped you. So thank you again. If you have any questions, email me, info@pbhperformance.com, frank@pbhperformance.com. Our website's pbhperformance.com. Our phone number is 561-737-2331. If you search the hashtag on the left side of the screen, you'll find a lot of our projects, a lot of our cars, and other people's cars too. Our personal hashtag is PBHEquipped. If you have a PBH equipped car, please tag us in the photos and let people know about it. That way we can repost what you post and let people know about your build and your shop. So look for some cool stuff here coming from us soon. The future is exciting, and thank you again for all your support. Powered by the Hour Performance. Frank, I'm out. You guys have a good night. We'll catch you in a week. Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day, America.